So as you know, I start my podcast of just saying what comes to my head, and what came to my head is, when did man ever go from having a long beard because he didn't have razors to having a stubble and then maintaining that stubble like it was better than having a long beard or not having any beard at all?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I trimmed mine yesterday. Um, and I had, like you said, sort of like an Amish type looking beard. Because mine does not grow over here. So I trimmed it yesterday, and like you said, it is kind of strange how we have labeled it as, this looks better than, the long beard, because I have the exact same mindset. Like right now, I feel like I look, way better with the shorter beard than with the long Amish beard. And I think it's quite funny. I think it developed from you know, the labels of, what's accepted and what's not accepted, because a lot of people say this is much neater than, people with longer beards. Their stubble is much neater than, a long beard. And I'll be honest with you, I know a lot of people who have longer beards than I that take care, of their beards like women take care of their hair.
Yeah, like having a beard is no different to having long hair. You've got to like brush it and wash it. It's no different just because it's on your face and people don't really, you know, it's still the same process. It's exactly the same. It's going to stink if you don't wash it. Like when I had a beard, it wasn't really a beard. I'm China, half Chinese, so it doesn't really grow. It's a bum fluff that just sort of just didn't do anything. I didn't really wash it. Just sort of left it. But yeah, looking back now, it's like it's still like hair. It's got to smell good. It's got to look
Mm.
good. Got to look after it. Otherwise, just what's the point?
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And I mean, you're eating as well, so obviously you need to take care of it more than you would take care of your normal hair, because with eating, it's getting full of like all those oils and, the food that you're eating and the drinks that you're drinking as well. So obviously, someone who has a long beard and it looks good, I don't think it's, anyone has the right to say that, yeah, that person's dirty. There's no way you can call someone with a long beard dirty just because they have a long beard.
Yeah, and I found that when you lick pussy, all the juice goes in your beard. So that was like one of the reasons why I shaved it off. No, seriously, like if you like, you'd have like a flannel on your smooth bum cheek face. It's nice and easy. When you've got a beard, it all goes in your beard. Then you wash and it's still there. And it's like for fuck's sake, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like eating a can of tuna and sort of getting tuna in your beard. It's like I'm sure I didn't have tuna last night. I'm sure it was chicken, but anyway, can't get this out. One of the
Yeah,
reasons why I
yeah.
cut it off actually.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. And it's I think that's only ever happened to me like once. That's only happened to me once for good reason, the same reason, it happened to you. It needed to happen for you to realize, okay, never again. You needed to shave it off. And I completely agree with you. It's not a very it's it's not a very pleasant pleasant odor to, just leave there. So it very much is essential for you to, if you want to keep it, if you want to keep it even after such a, an event or situation, you need to make sure you clean it. Otherwise, the odors, it's worse, to be honest with you, it's worse than, your normal hair. The odors that, get left in your beard, because of the oils on your skin as well, um, you know, minus the external things that you bring into your beard, the oils on your skin alone already give it a weird odor. So you really need to like look after it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's almost like you wouldn't kind of grow your armpit hair. Well, men don't grow their armpit hair, but you wouldn't go to the gym and go for a run and your armpits stink and then just not wash it for days. It would absolutely
Mhm.
stink. And it's the same as a beard, oils and vagina juice, whatever, it will stay in that beard. And if you have like sweaty sex where they have a bush or you've got a bush and you don't wash it, all the fluids from having sex, that's going to stay in there and it's bacteria. It's going to grow
Mm.
like when you don't change your shirt for a few days. That bacteria under your armpit grows, no different to a vagina or a penis bush, armpit hair or a beard. It's exactly the same. But it's interesting how when you think about our head hair, the oils are not the same as facial hair. Like as you said, there is a difference between the smell of facial beard compared to head, and you could say it's because the sun is directly on top and it dries it. You could say it's just different follicles, or over generations of time, our head has sort of got used to not You know what I'm trying to say? There must be a reason why. Like I get spots when I have dairy, and somebody once
Hmm.
said it's because of the glands in that jawline bit, different to the hair
Yes.
jawlines. I don't get spots on my head, but I'll get a fucking spot here. It's interesting.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. So I totally agree with you. I studied, with the personal training that I do, I had to do a section of my course was anatomy and, biology and everything. And I never took that in school. So it was very much, teaching myself what the hell mitochondria was and what the hell the nervous system was and everything. So I went pretty much in depth in it. And inside your face, you have just like your veins, your veins all around your body and your nervous systems, they're different in each piece of your body. And so along your face, you have these some people, I'm lost for the scientific name for it now, but like you said, it is those glands that you have along your jawline as well as here by your temple. That's why most of the time when you have like acne or whatever, a lot of people say focus your nose and your above your eyebrows over here because this is very much the source of all acne around the face because everything needs to travel through there, air through your nose to your eyes around, and then such like that. And so I think that's why a lot of the oils that you get in your beard will be different to the oils you get in your hair, therefore giving a different odor. I mean, a stupid example, but a very, very valid one is you're constantly wearing clothes. So obviously, if you have pubic hair down there, male or female, you're wearing clothes. So you got the clothes, the sweat, the heat, the chafe, whatever you want to call it, down there, it's going to give off a different odor. And because of the amount of bacteria that generally circulates in that area, it's your genitalia, of course, it's going to give off a different odor than that of your hair, which has shampoo, certain it's more into the sunlight than anything else. The shampoo that you put in your hair, the conditioner, the oils that you put in your hair are going to be different to your beard. I mean, for people, if you had to wear a beanie like I'm wearing today, if you had to wear a beanie all day long, every day, your hair would essentially, you would think that it would smell or have the same odor or, have the same bacteria as, your pubic areas, your genitalia, because you're kind of wearing clothes over it. But still, it's different. And I think that has got to do with what you mentioned, the glands, the different glands and the different pieces of your body in your anatomy, where the nervous system and like how everything circulates. So I completely agree with you on that. Sorry
Um,
about you getting those damn spots over
no,
there,
no, no.
though.
So I always get mainly spots in between my eyebrows, like
Oh
above my
yeah.
nose, in between. I've got one here, and I was thinking the other day, there's no blackheads there. I'm not even touching my face. Why the fuck do they always just appear here? I get above my eyebrows, right? Sometimes above my moustache. If I've been snogging the dog because when she licks my face, she makes me have spots.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
and then under my beard, I get spots, but it's always in the middle here. And you just clearly said, which I didn't know before, that the points of where the glands are is above here, and it's just interesting
Mm.
how it's always in the middle. Um, but yeah, it's like sometimes when I used to go out and have some fun, my dad would pick me up, and I'll be sitting in the van with him, like, can you smell this? Like, because when I'm next to him, like, no one's saying anything. Like, how was your night? Yeah, it's good. What'd you do? Oh, not much. And whilst I'm thinking, can he smell this? Like, does he know? And then I was like, I can't be, I either don't go out or I do something about this. And when you try and wash it, just like when you wash your hands, it doesn't go straight away. Like if you've got BO under your armpits and you don't wash for days, it's still there. You
Mm.
can't get rid of it. And I'm like,
Mm.
God, um, do I shave it off just for like a clean, easier lifestyle? Maybe it's better for the girl, whatever. Or do I just keep it on and have to deal with its nature? Like deal with it. Like don't be embarrassed. And it's
Mm.
a tricky thing because even though it is natural, it's like if something isn't nice to somebody else in their company, I've been taught to like be respectful of that. So if you want to have fun with a girl, respect her. If she doesn't like a beard, shave it off, And that's my
Mm.
choice. I don't have to do it.
Mm.
But if I want to be with that person again, then do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. But
Yeah.
um years ago, before they had like showers and baths, and you'd have like, you know, Jesus or somebody mounting in the cave with like a long beard or whatever. I wonder the smells then, because don't forget he wouldn't have shaved for years. Long hair as well, nobody washed, like dirt all in your pores in your head. Maybe that was just the natural smell. And because you're
Mm.
outdoors all the time, you never get that. build-up of stagnant smell because it's outdoors and it sort of has a way of refreshing itself. And I think that a lot of the time people smell BO because they're indoors in man-made heat. Like the temperature of the outside is our temperature inside, but then
Mm.
indoors it's really hot, and our body's like, hang on a sec, my natural temperature is this, but I'm in a fucking 19-degree room or in a bath, and it's like it's confusing itself. So you
Mm.
sweat profusely. And this summer it was really, really, really hot. And someone on the radio said there's a smell of armpit in the air. And I was like, that's interesting. What does he mean by that? Because I can't self-smelt it. And what's really interesting is that when it was like 35 degrees, I was washing my arms just to cool down. I got out the shower, I smelt my armpit. It had an unusual smell which I've never smelt before. It wasn't BO, and I kept washing it and it wouldn't go. And it only happened on the hottest day of the year. Other
Hmm.
days when it wasn't that hot, I didn't smell it. It was just like a normal day. But it's interesting, when it was really hot outside, my body's, let's call it thermostat, was taking charge.
Oh yeah.
And it had this really, I think what the guy was saying is musky, musky armpit smell. And that's what he meant by there's an armpit smell in the air, because our body has a temperature system where it balances it up. um Very interesting how it was only on the hottest day of the year. um
Yeah, yeah.
so the outdoors is what we're supposed to be in. Indoors it's fake, it's man-made, and it fucks up everything. It changes. Yeah, do you know what I'm trying to say about that? It's
Yeah,
something to
yeah,
do
yeah.
with
I do.
indoors,
I do.
sweat. You come out the shower, you sit on the bed, you stink, but you go outside with no deodorant and you don't smell of anything. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really got to do with when you're accustomed to it. Like you said, in the car when you get into the car and you're like wondering, oh yeah, can he smell me? It's you've accustomed yourself to that smell. So
Yes.
obviously
Yeah.
you're aware that it's there, but he has not. So he's not aware that it's there. He might be getting like a whiff of it and be like, what can I make of this? And I mean, that's where the smell of alcohol comes from, right? And it's the same thing with what you were saying now about the, only you got out of the shower and it had this very weird smell and it was like the hottest day in the year. Obviously, with heat, a lot of bacteria travels. So you might have not been the only one experiencing it. And because of that, maybe your neighbors or someone else nearby has been experiencing it as well. And so their odor was sort of transferring through the air with all the other odors and it was going through to you. And that's why it was smelling so strange because it's not normal. And I find it really funny when someone says there's a smell of something in the air, whether it's armpit or whatever, there's a fart in the air or whatever. The thing is, you'll always smell it when it's closest to you. And that's why they came up with the whole, whoever smelt it dealt it. So you may never smell it because your armpits smell great. But the fact that he's smelling it might suggest, okay, hold on, you're smelling it because your armpits don't smell so good. So specifically if it's hot, everything travels much easier in heat than it does in cold. So in lower temperatures, odors and bacteria just it does not spread very quickly. And I mean that kind of makes sense. When are you most efficient? When you're cold or when you're hot? You're most probably going to be more efficient and faster in what you're doing when you're hot because your body is more it's sweaty, so it's very easily movable, sort of like lubricant in a car. But when it's cold, a lot of people with like titanium plates and stuff, they find it very hard to actually move because it's cold. So bacteria and odor, I think works the exact same way. Everything is an organism. Everything works in very similar ways, but still in their own very unique way. And that's where you get like the unique smell as well. That's personally what I think.
What came into mind when you said that was quantum entanglement. So
Oh
when, do
yeah.
you know, so when something is like turning over here in the energy world, it also turns over here. So it doesn't matter how
Mm.
far you are apart. If that goes left, then its opposite force will also go left. And
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
take coral in the ocean that will blossom at a certain time of the year, and you take that coral, and I gave it to you in South Africa, and you drove to Australia, then drove to Canada, drove to America, and you put it under your sink at the exact same time, it say whatever releases its seeds in the ocean, it will at the same time release its seeds in your sink wherever you travel
Yeah, yeah.
to. So it's automatically in sync. So what came to mind we said about the BO thing is that in the air at that same time, when our bodies are all at the same temperature, the natural thing to do is say to sweat profusely at the same time, which is say 35 degrees as opposed to 18 degrees in the morning, that everyone's sort of releasing their sperm eggs at the same time, like the coral, like fish do, whatever, at a certain time of the year. And it's just everywhere. But because it's everywhere, we don't realize it or we can't instantly smell it because it's just there. As you said, the musky smell in the air. That was interesting when you said that because it shows that on the quantum level, whether it's a smell, a thing like a fish or a seed or a plant or whatever, it is all connected and
Mm,
everything happens at the same time. Like animals will migrate at the same time, the trees will blossom at the same time at a certain temperature. It will flower. Any less, it won't. Any more, it will, I don't know, die or crisp up.
yeah,
So
probably
yeah,
just.
yeah, no, no, no. It's very interesting. Like in the morning, my flowers bud only if it's a certain temperature. Interesting.
Yeah, it is very and it kind of reminds me, sorry, I don't know what that is. It kind of reminds me of well, it brings me back to what I was saying previously with the with everything traveling in the heat, everything like you said needs to be at a specific temperature so it works at a specific temperature. So when it comes to like the flowers, perhaps they too with the temperature, they it needs to be just right to release, let's say, I'm no like I don't even know what a person in that field would be called, but I'm not no plant professional or whatever. But I'm pretty sure it's almost the same as saying, you know what, it needs to be that right temperature for that plant to release some sort of a lubricant or some sort of a microorganism to actually let it bud open. And when it's too cold, then it won't because it's not like activated. It's sort of like how cannabis works, weed. You cannot get the high on THC unless it is heated. People who want to make cannabis ice cream, I mean, I don't know what they expect to do over there. It's just going to be ice cream that tastes absolutely horrible. But it's the exact same thing. Like specific things need specific amounts of heat or cold or a specific temperature to work. And I mean, you won't necessarily smell someone as easy as you would in a hot day on a hot day than you would on a cold day. Even though it is still there, it's just it won't travel as easily unless, of course, you're hugging upon this person or you're mounting the person. Then you'll smell it. But it's very interesting how you brought up the quantum part of it because that's the first time I've ever heard of it in that sense, and I think it's quite interesting the way you explained it. How everything if it happens this side, it's gonna happen this side as well. Irrespective of like the distance between.
Yeah, it's almost like trees have it's almost like a baby needs at least 9 months, say, till it's born because of the time it takes to grow the embryo, and an acorn tree takes a certain amount of time until it is solid in the ground and starts producing its own acorns. If
Mm,
everything in life has been created by certain set conditions, then everything is running by these conditions. We just see
mm,
a tree, but we don't see all the trees around the world all kind of growing at the same time or sprouting at the same time. When you have like a greenhouse and you've got little seeds, they all start to bud at the same time, um, all in sync. And that's the same way how it all works with when our body hits a certain temperature in the atmosphere, we start to sweat. And I love learning new shit or realizing new shit, which I've just done. Um, it, it's we're all connected, whether you're in South Africa, if it's 35 degrees there and 35 degrees here, it's gonna be the same. Now you could say if you're used to 45 degrees that you stink of that smell all the time, or you could say your body's got used to it and it's just adapted. Like if a
yeah.
plant isn't going to get much rain, it will keep it stored in its roots and not grow as quick because when it grows it needs more water. Hence why when you water flowers after there's been like a drought, they bloody blossom. I don't water my grass, it doesn't really grow. I water it overnight and it's just shot up. So it's
Mm,
like the grass will stay at the same length and not take nutrients to grow unless it has the right circumstances or the right conditions. And
yeah.
you can see that with everything. Even with personal growth and development, if you keep looking after yourself and keep being inspired and keep creating ideas, you're going to keep creating more ideas, keep being inspired. Same as if you keep making money, you're going to keep making money because
Yeah.
more creates more. And if
Mm,
you don't have any of it, then nothing will change. And if you don't water your flowers, they won't grow.
mm. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very much good example, when you brought up the flowers and you started linking it with everything, it really does work that way. Think about it this way. If one tree grows, many other trees are going to grow, around it because it's the spread of seeds, you know? And that's why, one way you can actually have a look when you were talking about how everything grows in sync and you don't often see it. One thing that jumped to my mind was, those time lapse videos that you would get on like National
Yes, I love
Geographic and
that.
everything. You just leave the camera there and you can actually see how everything does grow in sync and
Yeah.
then drops and then sinks. And then sometimes you'll also see it that the one side will grow up first and then it's sort of like a wave, and that is the what I would say the perfect example or perfect display of the spread of seeds, which brings to the whole, if you keep on doing something, you will get more of it, if you're gonna, that's why people go on about negative spirals, if you're gonna keep being negative, you're going to get more negativity, if you make money, you're going to keep making more money. If you keep your on the self-development path, you will keep self-developing, that sort of thing. You'll keep growing. And it's very much like that in nature. We are, in fact, all connected. And it's funny because a lot of people don't actually realize this. But when you said that everything is conditioned to a specific condition, so to say, everything happens only at specific conditions, as much as we want to deny it, we are ruled by the same conditions, We are also the type, that migrates in the winter or that hibernates in the winter. Like how many people actually go out when it's cold? Not a lot of people. You hibernate. You're just calling it something else, but and you can deny it as much as you want to, but we are conditioned by everything that's happening around us. So therefore, we are in actual fact all connected. So if everything is growing, we will grow too. So it just really depends on what it is you want to spread, If a tree does not want to spread, it will probably not spread seeds and it will not grow, But obviously, when it comes to nature and everything, like I said, I'm no professional. I don't know if a tree can choose whether or not it wants to spread seeds, I do believe some do. I know the banana plant, you get your male and female, and sometimes they don't sprout. Um, but like I said, I'm no professional. But I know that, when it comes to us, we can choose whether or not we want to grow either that way or that way. But anything that you focus on really is just going to keep, becoming more.
It's interesting. I only realized this the other day, but in the summer, my hair grows really quick. Like I shave my hair, right? And it was growing quicker when I was sunbathing in the sun compared to when I used to be indoors not sunbathing. And obviously, you could say, well, that's fucking, of course, like grass grows in the sun, flowers grow. Why wouldn't we? And it's like, it's true. Why wouldn't
Mm,
we?
mm,
I didn't
yeah.
realize that, but my hair and my beard, even, right, grows quicker when it's hot. And that fascinated me because I'd never thought of it like that. Because
Mm,
you, again, growing up, we think a certain way, and it's not that we never knew. We just didn't put two and two together. We didn't make it click. Like when the moon's bright, people say they are different or they start to think differently or whatever. That is also true. It's a cycle, the energy in the atmosphere.
mm, mm,
And it's the same as like, the energy of when a plant seeds. It's a specific frequency, like a specific light frequency in the atmosphere, which does something to you at that late at night. You often find yourself can't sleep, and then you look at the moon and it's just fucking bright and it's like staring at you like, why are you not sleeping? You know? And then when it's really, really dark, you feel the need to nurture and go inside and close your eyes because it's dark. Whereas if
mm,
there's light out there, it's almost like a kid looking at the sun and wanting to go out and play.
mm,
And yet we're conditioned to those patterns of when it's dark, we go in, when it's sun, we go out. Just like a plant will only sprout when it's sunny and it will close up when
mm.
it rains. We go indoors when it
Yeah.
rains. Everything.
Yeah. And I mean, you can, like I said, you can deny it as much as you want. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're conditioned. Um, we are all interconnected. Uh, Concerning the light and everything, I mean, we discussed this previously. If light energy can change so much, I mean, how can you actually deny the fact that you grow much better when there's light? You're outside more when there's light, because in the light itself there is a specific, you can call it, vitamin D or whatever you want to, but there is that specific pattern of energy in light than there is in darkness, the absence of light, which would normally be the absence of that energy. And that's why a lot of people who are, healers and energy workers, are called light workers, because there is that certain pattern of light, or a pattern of energy in light. And I completely agree with you, the fact that your hair grows much faster in the summer than it does in the winter. And I can vouch for this because, my hair, it's been winter here by me and been very, very cold. And you tend to actually leave your hair, you just like you neglect it because you don't want to do anything with it. So this could be the viewpoint of it, and it just doesn't grow. So all you do is you wash it, you look after it, and that's it. And you kind of just leave it, hoping that it will grow and keep you warm, but it's not actually going to, because that light, that energy that you receive from the light and the heat and the transfer of, vitamin D and all these different nutrients within the heat will that is what you need for it to grow. And funny enough, when you're hot, you tend to touch your hair a lot more
Makes it
because
greasy.
specifically, yeah, so it makes it greasy. And specifically if you have a lot of hair, you get very sweaty. And I mean, what's the first thing you want to do? You kind of want to cool yourself off. So you're constantly touching your hair and everything. So that gives off that grease and that oil, and that actually helps it grow. That's why I don't wash my hair every single night, because it gets rid of those natural oils. So I touch my hair and I let that oil through, but then I wash my hair every second night or every third night, depending on, the temperatures during the day. And that's why you'll see a lot of surfers, people who live in tropical islands and everything. They have long hair. You won't often find a lot of people with short hair over there. If you do, there's a possibility they just cut it or they just arrived, you know? Because it's inevitable. You're going to have the long beard, the long hair, and you're going to leave it. And when you do leave it, it also, with the light, it also changes color, just like your eyes change color in specific light as well. And that's why a lot of people, when they look at surfers, they go, oh man, I really want I want that surfer's color of hair, and that's a type of color. You cannot replicate that color. You need to be in the sun as long as that person on the tropical island or that surfer has been, because that is sun-stained hair. That is what it's called. It's sun-stained hair. And I tried to perfect this, uh, and I still haven't got it right. So I need to see if I can, how can I say it? I need to stay much longer in the sun than I anticipated. The last time I tried to get it right was I stayed in for 6 months, and I think you got to stay in for much longer than that, because with everything that is forever changing, your color and everything will change. So so yeah, the more sun you have, the faster the process will be. And so, sort of feeling like I've gone off of the topic a little bit over there. It's very, very true that you grow much easier when the heat is there. And bringing back to the beginning, odors grow much easier when the heat is there as well. So it's a very curious thing, very, very interesting thing.
So I kept a thought in my head, and it had gone past that, so I thought I won't say it. But you linked up that perfectly, right? So you're saying how with hair it speeds up the growth of bacteria or smell. So I was fingering a girl once in a car park, and she didn't shave. She was a natural person, didn't shave, so she had like trousers on, and fingering her, and then I went down to lick her out, and the smell was like I was licking a guy's armpit, and that was very interesting for me because I didn't understand why that vagina hair smelled of BO. I didn't understand because I thought, well, my armpit smell of BO. Why does that? And then I
Mm,
realised we're all the same, whether it's your beard, the hair on your head, the hair on your belly button, the hair on your toes, armpits. It's just hair. Bacteria and heat created by, say, oils, it produces the same smell. And I couldn't
mm.
believe it. It was like a sweaty armpit, and I had no idea. And do you think, based on that, one of the reasons why people shave, men, male and female, down below, is to stop that build-up of bacteria and heat? Because even though it's supposed to air it,
Mm,
again, it's man-made. We're in clothes all the time. We're not airing ourselves. We're doing the opposite. We're keeping the air in. Hence why when I come out of the shower and I say wear a dressing gown, there's so much hot air building up that I fucking sweat. Like I'm stinking of BO. And yet, if I don't have anything on, I don't smell a BO. But do you reckon that could be one
Mm.
of the reasons why we started to shave our face, shave our hair, shave our down below? Is because of we started to live indoors in caves and houses and whatever, and the smell of the fake heat and the fires just made it too unbearable, and we just shave it off.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's good that you brought that up because I actually had the exact like train of thought as well, when it came to like the conditioning and why people like shave their beards. And it kind of also sort of, blew over and I carried on, But I think it's all got to do with the conditioning and the labeling that we started developing over the years of, our evolution, our personal evolution, however you want to see it. Um, like you said, when you're outdoors and, back then they didn't have, clothes or they didn't need to worry about these specific odors or shaving or anything, because they weren't concerned for it. It was irrelevant. No one was, really concerned for like personal image or the thought of others. You know what? If you like me, you like me. If you didn't like me, you didn't like me. So what? Who cares? I kind of like, being naked, running around, whatever you're doing,
I
picking
am
berries or
breaching my
throwing a
asshole
freaking
for you, asshole.
Exactly, exactly. So I think as we evolved, a long time with the development of, clothes, and with that came along the development of a mindset that, this is neat, this is not neat, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. And so it was acceptable to wear clothes, it was unacceptable not to wear clothes. So therefore, we were already closing off, our armpits, the pubic areas and everything, we were closing it up. And because of that, it started stinking more because there wasn't that natural, flow. How you said it, what was that word? Um, the
Ventilation.
airing. Yeah, you could say ventilation, but there wasn't enough, air going
Yeah,
through. Ventilation's actually a very good word. There wasn't
yeah.
enough ventilation. And
Flowing through
so
the
because of
streams of the
that,
hair follicles.
exactly, right? And so because of that, it started, with the odors, and people thought, you know what, well, what's the one way we can get rid of these odors? We obviously can't take our clothes off because now that's unacceptable. So let's start shaving. Let's start getting rid of what the cause of these odors are. When in actual fact, the cause of these odors was this
Yeah,
acceptable clothing that we
yeah.
got, because it's a completely natural thing. Clothing is not natural. Clothing is not natural. I mean, if it was, whatever you believe in, Adam and Eve would have come up, from clay wearing Nikes and, whatever, maybe a zip, a pullover or something, but it's not
AJ, I got a
natural.
new fresh pair of Yeezys. You interested? It's
Yeah.
only one
Oh
carrot and
no.
two broccoli and a banana. I'll trade for you.
What
Money
about that
wasn't
fruit on the tree? I give you one of those fruits there,
money, money wasn't around back then.
No, obviously not. So I think it's all got to do with, the conditioning and what we decided would turn into, that which is acceptable and non-acceptable. So we've kind of like um how can I say it? Not regressed. What was that word now? So we've kind of gone backwards in a sense. And a lot of people are becoming aware of this, and that's why you have your hippie movements, people who wear less clothes, shave less as well, because they're trying to, become, more natural, more at one with the nature. But then you get the people who are, very much into that, and they're all for this, natural connection. We're all one, but then they're also kind of like, you know what, yeah, but I'm gonna wear as much as I can because, I kind of like the brand names, and so then they have those odors that build up, and there's kind of
Yes.
like that conflict of so to say interest in a sense,
You
and
see,
that brought me, yeah, yeah, it's something else.
see that's interesting because like we had all this hair to, air ourselves back in the day before clothes, and then we wear clothes, and then, we shave to be more sexually attractive, right? And then you naturally want to fit in and wear clothes and stuff. And so you wear clothes, but then you think, "Fuck this! I want to be a woman, a man. I don't have to shave for anyone. I want to feel natural and free." So you let your armpit hair grow, your vagina hair grow, whatever, and then you wear clothes, and it's like, hang on a sec, we need to understand something. You either wear clothes or you don't. If you wear clothes and have hair, it's going to create bacteria. You're going to stink. Okay, years ago it was just no clothes and hair, and it would air itself. So you have to
Mm,
shave off the hair, otherwise bacteria builds up. And it's like, well, hang on a sec, be free, be a person, don't. And it's very complicated. It's not a black and white answer. because
mm,
there's so
mm.
many factors. It's like you're being you. It's almost like, people who say, I think a lot of Indian people don't, they believe anything. That's why they don't cut their hair because it's against God, right? It's not
Yeah, yeah.
natural. So they don't wear
Mm.
deodorant. A lot of Indian people I've noticed stink of BO because they don't wear deodorant because it's
Oh,
a man-made
really?
thing. Yeah, I used
I
to have
did
an
not
Indian
know
friend
that.
next
Wow.
door and he always used to stink because he never used to wear deodorant because it's man-made. It's not
Mm,
natural. And so
mm,
let's say you're in an office with this person, you got to respect someone's religion, but if they're stinking the place out and everyone else can't work because, whatever stinks, at what point do you say you've got to wear deodorant? Oh no, it's my religion, I can't wear it. It's a very touchy subject because
mm.
then
It very much is, yeah.
it's like nothing to do with religion. It may be your reason why you're not wearing it, but you're in an office. You've got to respect other people. Like if you were to start being mean to another colleague, then you'd be dealt with. If you're saying you can't have tuna in the office because it stinks, then the
Yeah,
boss
yeah.
will be like, you got to respect other people. But it's like,
Mm,
well, Mohammed, you can't have you got to start wearing deodorant because you're stinking the place out. Oh, it's my religion. What do you do then? Discrimination
mm,
if you fire them.
mm.
I don't. That's very interesting.
I
I've
think I
just
think
that's just come into my head.
I think it's a good thing that it did, because from that we can actually find the root of that, and I personally think that the root of that conflict is it's literally all got to do with like what you label as okay, a stink to you is probably not a stink to me. I mean, a lot of people dislike the smell of blue cheese and Parmesan, But as Italians, you put that on your food because it tastes amazing when it does. So you get accustomed to the smell. And so it doesn't smell bad, In actual fact, the smell of Parmesan means good times. So it's a good smell. So it's all got to do with like what you've made yourself accustomed with. And so with him, with it being his religion, obviously he probably doesn't even take note of the stink because it's not a stink to him. It's natural,
And other
It's
family
it's
members also don't wear deodorant either, so they just smell the same
it
BO smell.
exactly
They don't even
exactly.
know.
And I
They don't
mean,
even know they can smell or they smell.
so that's the thing. So they're accustomed to the fact that okay, yeah, this is my smell, there's nothing wrong with it. But now you come in and it's not your religion and you're wearing deodorant every day or you're surrounded by people with a lot of perfume or they shave or whatever, you're going to have that obvious clean smell. And if it's not that clean smell, any other smell that you might not be accustomed to is going to be labeled as a stink. Because it doesn't smell clean. You've labeled what smells clean and what smells bad, but what smells bad to you might smell clean to someone else, and what smells clean to you might smell bad to someone else or like too sweet or whatever. So it's really got to do with like how we've accustomed ourselves to everything around us and how we live in everything, and it's very much brought back to what we discussed earlier when you said everything is one, because is a shark aware of what a cat is? I'm pretty sure it's not. So what scares a shark might not scare us, but what scares us might not scare a shark. So it's very much the same in nature. What is seen as a bad thing is good to something else, and what is seen as a good thing. So it's all got to do with like what you're accustomed to and what you want to label as that. So with that touchy subject, it really is it because you don't know what to do in that situation. You kind of want to be respectful to the religion and the belief system, but you also want them to kind of be respectful to you. But they can't be respectful to you if it's a natural smell to them, because they don't know. To them, it's not a stink, but to you, it's a stink. So who is in actual fact in the wrong over here? And most people, what we like to do as humans is majority rules, because we're kind of a democratic mindset, top of the food chain is the boss, you know what I'm saying? So majority rules. So it will always come down to that. But now, what if the majority is wrong? You know? That still comes down to perspective. And so I do agree with you. It's a very, very touchy thing when it comes to that specific game. I mean, I personally did not know that they didn't believe in like, deodorant and stuff like that. I did know, however, that they leave their hair to grow, which would obviously naturally lead up to the BO and the body odor, which I assume that's what BO stands for.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. Um, and so I would assume that it leads to that. But like I said, what I see it as is, it's natural to them. And it's funny because before this train of thought loses its way, a lot of people nowadays talking about like shaving and everything. Sorry, that was my cat. Talking about shaving, when you're wearing a lot of clothes, you put on deodorant because you shave, and having the hair actually helps release a specific odor. And when you don't have that hair, it's very difficult for you to release an odor, because the air is supposed to travel through the hair, and the hair is supposed to, that's why it's like this, it's supposed to spread sort of like seeds, and so like roots. And so when you don't have it, you naturally wear more antiperspirants, you wear deodorants, you wear perfumes because you don't really have a smell anymore. You get rid of it. And so what people then do is they look for ways to attract sexually. It's most sexually acceptable that, you're respectful to the person. You kind of want to be neat, you want to shave, you want to, be clean and everything. However, you don't have a smell now, so now you don't smell attractive. And I mean, that's how nature works. If something smells attractive, then, we're definitely going there. So then what do people do? Take from nature pheromones, and we wear pheromones. But what we don't understand is that, we can produce our own pheromones if we did not shave. And we kept it going, and we kept it maintained. We can produce our own pheromones. And what a lot of people don't understand is, and then they come to you and they say, "Oh yeah, I keep attracting like the wrong people," And very much, attraction has to do with visual, tangible, taste. It's got to do with all of your senses, really. And I mean, even your metaphysical senses as well. And one of the you can't neglect the sense of smell. It's actually a very, very powerful sense of attraction. When something smells great, then you're like, whoa, you want more of it. I mean, that's why people like food. If the food smells great, you're gonna tend to want to eat it. If it doesn't look great and you haven't smelt it, then you probably won't eat it. If it looks great and you haven't smelt it, you'd eat it. But then if it looks great and you smell it and it smells like feet, you're not gonna eat it, even if it looks great. Even if it's like that golden donut that you've been looking for all day. If it smells like tuna or pubic or genitalia, you're not gonna put your tongue on that thing at all. Even if it looks as pleasing as can be. So smell is a very important thing. And what people need to realize is that your pheromones attract a specific type of sensory, because all of our senses of smell, like I said, what's stink to you might not be stink to me. So all of our smells are different. And so you will naturally attract that which your pheromones attract. And because it's natural, that connection, that attraction will be natural, therefore much stronger than that which is synthetic and fake and made up, you know?
Yeah, it's
So I mean, a
interesting.
lot of people, oh, I'm attracted to Axe body spray. You're attracted to the body spray, not the person wearing it. I mean, I could put that body spray on a dog. You're gonna commit bestiality right now. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, it's I was gonna say, yeah, that's why the smell of arsehole can be very animalistic, right? When a dog meets another dog, the first thing he does is take a whiff of his ass, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, me personally, if the girl shat in my face, I wouldn't be very impressed, right? But a few wipes, not completely clean, but not fucking disgusting and mucky, is enough to get you like aroused and turned on.
Yeah.
It's animalistic, right? You see monkeys when they greet each other, they're wanking each other off, man and man. Yeah. So what happened to this? Can't be gay shit. Well, that's nonsense. There's no such thing as you can or can't be gay. Society made this up. In the animal kingdom, you do what you want.
Hmm.
Females fuck females, males fuck males in every single species. So two monkeys meet each other, they wank each other off to say hello. They're like pruning its arsehole. There's a video on Facebook that was going around of this monkey sticking his arse in the air, and the other monkey was just like, "Okay, if you just bend over a little bit for me, okay, yep,
Hmm.
okay,
Just
open
making sure
wide."
it's okay.
And the monkey's looking around at all the humans filming, like, "What the fuck's your problem, man? Been doing
Yeah,
this for
this is.
years. Put your phone down." So yeah, and also what's interesting is the smell of arse doesn't. It has nothing. It's no relevance to the taste of arse. The
Mm,
smell of a shit has no relevance to the taste of shit. So it's two different things. It's like you should never try. You should never say you don't like food by smelling it, because how it tastes has no relevance to the smell. If you hold your nose and eat something, you can't taste it. The minute you unplug your nose, you can taste it. So what does that say? It says that we don't actually taste, we smell. We eat
mm,
based on smell,
mm,
not based on taste. Because if I gave you five different types of food and I held your nose, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference until you
mm,
give the smell. So that's very
mm,
interesting how we say we shouldn't judge by smell, but in this case, we eat by smell. It's not our tongue saying we like it, it's our smell and our brain. So it's actually not taste at all. Um,
mm. And I agree with you. I mean, the best natural example for this in the animal kingdom is one of the many very big misconceptions is in the feline um, uh, piece of nature, cats and everything. I mean, a lot of people think, the hairs or the spikes on their tongues are taste buds. Yeah, it's taste buds. They got massive taste buds, so they know what they want. They know how to, but no, not actually. That stuff is merely just there to get meat off of the bone or to get something separated from something else that is very tough. Cats, felines don't actually taste. And that's why they say cat food it's always got to do with what the cat can smell. And that's why a cat or any animal in the feline species is so centered around a strong sense of smell because they, like you said now, when you block your nose, it's not often you'll be able to taste anything or if anything at all. The only way you'll be able to tell a difference is if you open your nose or if you know the specific texture of the food that you're eating. Obviously if you're eating a banana, you're going to know, okay, I know the texture of a banana. This one's crunchier, so this is probably an apple. You won't be able to taste it until you open your eyes or your nose or whatever. So everything is interconnected. And the perfect example is with cats. They eat and taste with their sense of smell. And that's why they're so finicky, so to say, when it comes to, smelling things and touching humans. Because when you think you're rubbing the cat's nose, or when the cat comes to you and smells your finger, you went and stuck your finger up your asshole. They kind of licking your ass, so to say. You don't do that to a cat. So I like to call it the license. And I think in some or other way, dogs, the canines are somewhat the same because they're when they greet, they sniff each other's asses. So it's obviously I'm not saying that they're basically tasting each other's assholes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying their sense of smell is just so much better and more profound than us, but that's not to say that we can taste. That's to say that ours is just less profound and less exercised because we're relying on all the other senses. And it's only natural to know that when someone goes blind, their sense of hearing increases, their sense of smell also increases. Hardly anyone says taste. It's always smell and hearing because those are really profound senses.
now the thing
Taste
is,
is
if you know,
merely connected.
have you noticed dogs? They will eat pretty much anything.
Mm,
So, like, they don't have a. You could say they don't have a sense of smell because if we eat based on the smell rather than our taste buds, then we can choose. So, why is it a dog eats everything? You could either say that they don't actually have a sense of smell,
mm,
hence why they eat everything, or there's something else going on there where their
mm,
brain doesn't recognize this is right or wrong. But then you think, well, dogs have amazing smell. But then you could say it's not smells, it's other things. Like when they a
mm.
scent, for example, or if they're trying to like pick something up, that different smell is different to food smell. Like there could be a different in
Yeah,
vibration. Like dogs can see ghosts, something like ghosts or spirits, or
yeah.
they can see things that we can't see. So
Mm,
different frequencies a dog can see differently. Like a baby when it's born can see different frequencies. So maybe there's different levels of smell. A smell of a an animal is a different vibration to say eating a banana, eating a prawn cracker, eating a lasagna, eating pasta. It could be like such a low vibration that they don't know the difference. And
mm,
onto that thing about when you hold your nose, you can't smell stuff. If I was licking my arm, I could know that it's an arm. I can like sort of smell the salt. If I put
mm,
my finger on my nose, licks my arm, that could be your leg, your toe. It could be arsehole, right? With some shit there. I wouldn't know because it just tastes the same, and my brain's not saying this is this or this is that. You don't like this, you do like this.
Mm,
So if it's only when I take my finger off my nose that I'm like, oh my God, I'm licking someone's asshole, then it means that the smell has completely no connection to taste
mm,
without the brain and previous senses. Because if I'm licking someone's ass and I don't know until I smell it, well, you were doing it. But if you don't like it and you're doing it, then it's your perception that you don't like it because you're doing it. So it's surely not a problem because you're doing it. It's like when you bang your leg and you bleed, it bleeds more and it's suddenly painful. But if you don't know that you've banged your leg, just like if somebody punches you and it's actually been stabbed, you only know you've been stabbed until you look down. But the
mm,
feeling was the same. So
mm.
everything's in our brain, not the senses.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, I said I'd know it was arsehole. But like, I don't like an arsehole, but then it's only I only know when I can smell it, which
yeah,
means
yeah,
our taste has nothing. We
yeah.
don't do things by taste. It has no connection at all. It's like a deaf person compared to a blind person. He can't hear shit. If you hold your nose, you cannot tell the difference between whether that is an arsehole or a banana or or a leaf. You know,
Mm,
I
mm.
mean, I don't know
I
how
love the last one. I
I
don't
don't
know
know
where the
how
leaf
I don't
came
know
from,
how
but
I don't know how accurate that is. I'll have to test
yeah.
it. You know, licking this, licking that, and trying to compare. But
Oh, please do let me know of the results and the outcome of that. I'm very curious to find out. I think you're
interesting.
very much onto something over there. Specifically when you started out with the dogs um not having a sense of smell. I think, a lot of there are specific dogs, like I believe it's beagles, they are hunting dogs, so they can smell, they have a more profound sense of smell than, any other breed of dogs. And I think it's because yes, they don't smell the same odors we do. Perhaps they're on a more micro level, and that's why with the scents when they're sniffing each other's asses, it gives off something else because they could be, for instance, the only thing that I could think of really that came to my mind that kind of made it uh, comprehensible for me is they could be smelling a specific vitamin or specific iron in a specific thing. And that's why, if there's iron in everything, there's iron in a piece of paper, there's iron in a leaf, there's iron in a block of cheese, they're smelling that iron. They're not smelling the specific odor that's left off that we can sense, and you
I think,
kind of
how does a
so
shark smell blood? Same thing,
yeah,
iron. It's not the
yeah.
blood that we can smell. It's iron. How the fuck can a shark smell blood from across the ocean in water? It's like there's water. It's like how can you smell pheromones in the air, armpit smell in the air? How does it travel in water? And
Mm,
it's
mm.
like you're doing it based on the laws of air, which is not the same laws of water.
Of what? Yeah, it's a completely different medium, So I think they're on a more micro level, and you kind of solidified that idea that I had in my head when you were talking about
Meditation, raising a vibration, you become more in tune. A
no,
dog's sense of smell is more increased that you can smell different things other dogs can't.
yes, yes, and when you were talking about like the dogs could see ghosts, cats can actually see UV rays. So the little ray that you don't see between your remote and your TV receiver, cats can see that.
Are
You
you
cannot see it.
serious?
Yes, and
Cats
that's
can.
why they can, and that's why it's actually a really bad idea that you play with cats with lasers,
Oh
because
yeah.
you cannot see the exact laser like a stream of light. You can only see the end of it because that's how your retina is trained. A cat's retina is trained to see that exact light. So when you're shining it, they're seeing the dot, but they're also seeing where it comes from. So that's why many cats, when they're not in a playful mood, they will look back at you because they can see exactly where that thing is coming from. Microwaves, they can see that as well. So I think according to nature, everything is accustomed to what is naturally meant for them. And that's why I think dogs will eat almost anything because they smell a specific micro vitamin or whatever it is inside that specific thing that we are not accustomed to smelling. And that also comes down to the uh, you were saying, oh man, there was something else. Like everything was just like working on each other like a
You were
step, and I
triggering me
had
off
it like,
so much that I
oh,
just had to input. You know when you shine a laser on a foggy night, you can see the whole beam, yeah? You
yeah,
know if
yeah.
you get talcum powder and you spray it in the air in the bathroom, you can see the whole beam. So you're saying that the cats and the dogs might be able to see the whole beam, whereas the human eye, without the smoke and the mist in the air, can
Yeah, the
only see
medium.
the dot, which is interesting because then when you think, why, how are dogs able to smell so well? Well, we're thinking smell, nose. I have to smell to get there. What if they can actually see the particles of their owner, the particles of sausage, the particles of whatever they're smelling? It's not
Mm,
just the smell, they can see like vibrations in the air, like a laser. Let's just
mm,
say that they see black and white, we see color. So
yeah,
black and white is the same as the mist shining a laser. So with
yeah, the
that mist, they
medium.
can see the laser. With their black and white eyesight, they can see stuff that we can't. They see the whole journey of where that person came from. It's almost like when you sneeze, that goes everywhere. And if you had a blue light, you can see where it goes. And apart from that, sneeze in terms of where a dog smell doesn't just stop where there's a wall or only goes, say, hatchoo 5 foot. It
Mm,
keeps going, hence why dogs have the ability to smell, but maybe they're not actually smelling, maybe they're
mm,
seeing, like maybe they can
yeah.
see the vibrations and the particles
Mm.
disperse, and you know what I mean.
Yes, there we go. I was looking for that word disperse, and this is how like how dogs who work for the police are
Yeah.
so well trained in smelling drugs and what is the correct word for it? Not cosmetics. I'm so lost at that word now. Narcotics. There we go. So they can smell narcotics because of the not the odor that it gives off. Because I mean, if it was the odor that it gives off, then we'd be able to smell it.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that fair to say?
Yeah.
It's rather something else that disperses from it. Maybe a sense of light or a sense of energy. It's the same thing. You cannot see the dust. You might think that the room you're sitting in right now is so clean. But as soon as you're lighting, you're shining the sun through it, you're gonna see almost every little particle of hair, floating around and everything. And it brings me back to what I actually wanted to say with the nose. I mean, with us, everything has an independent sense. Hearing is its in a way its own independent sense. Sight is its own independent sense. Nose and mouth are codependent. So you might not be able to taste without smelling because when you smell something, you label it. You label this, okay, this is the smell of ink. This is the smell of ink. If I never labeled this to be the smell of ink and I closed my nose and I drank it, I would think that it's probably syrup, you know? And I'd be killing myself, because I did not label it as ink, the smell. And so that's why our mouths and our noses are so connected. And that's why so many people, when they say they smell something, they can bring back memories. They can bring back tastes. Like the smell of mushrooms. Oh, that smells like the taste of mushrooms. I can taste it in the back of my mouth. It's not actually the taste that you're tasting. It's the smell. That odor that is hitting your senses in the back of your mouth that is registering it as a taste because that taste is apparently similar to the same thing that you had last night on your plate that you labeled as food and I am eating now, you know? So these are very codependent senses, and I'm no professional, but this is from like what I believe and from what I've learned with the anatomy and everything and like with your how your body is connected, these are very codependent senses, whereas your eyes, all senses are codependent, but your eyes and your ears are more independent than your nose and your mouth are to each other. Same with your nervous systems. I mean, you could probably feel something you could feel the texture of something much easier on your fingers because that's nerve ends. But if you were rubbing that same thing on your arm, it's not nerve ends, so you won't be able to feel the profound design of something. That's why your fingers are there and your toes as well. You could feel the exact same thing with your toes because it's nerve endings. And if you rub the same thing at the tip of your nose, you would be able to tell the difference. Even with your eyes closed, you'd be able to tell how it's shaped. This is a bottle. This is a pen. That sort of thing. It's nerve endings, and that also comes down to your eyesight. So your eyesight is connected. It has a stronger bond with your sense of feeling than it does with the sense of smell and hearing and taste, so to say. Because like you said, when you're stabbed, you won't necessarily feel it until you see it, because then your brain registers, oh crap, there's a rupture in my skin. I'm bleeding out. This should be painful. Ow, that sort of thing. So it's very much the same thing. All senses are connected, and I think on a much deeper level, dogs and cats have their own, like nature, all in all, has its own um, interconnectiveness with its senses, and that's why cats' sight and smell is much better than that of a human. A human's we're in actual fact, we're actually, at the bottom of the food chain, because we're building so much codependency on our senses and everything that we learn, that we're not like exercising profoundly, like with specific things, where cats are constantly exercising their eyesight when they're doing that with their retinas and everything. So if we had to do that, if you had to, you can actually train yourself to see in the dark. If you put yourself in a dark room for 30 days, no light, whatever, you can train yourself and your
Hmm.
eyesight to be much better in the dark than during the day. But when you go out during the day, it's going to be more painful. It's going to be brighter than a person who's been surfing all their life and only ever seen the sun, you know? So it's very interesting.
Right, let's end that there. Save any future triggers for next time. Plug anything you want to plug.
Plug anything I want to plug. What do you
Websites,
mean?
Instagram, Pornhub.com website,
Oh no, they blocked my
OnlyFans
Pornhub
account.
account. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. They blocked it. I did something very interesting with pheromones. No jokes. Um,
Wanking yourself
so
off with a cat.
so
Come, you little
it's
pussy.
more like a screeching, like the males out at night, that. Anyway, so yeah, I have Instagram. You could check me out on Curiosity Val, which is quite relevant to the topic that we had today. Very curious topic. Curiosity Val on Instagram.
Curious killed
Curiosity
the
spelled
cat.
not
That's what.
actually, not
That's why.
actually.
That's why I got curiosity vow because it was too curious, and Porno blocked the account. And I thought, oh, let's try an experiment. Try banana.
Yeah. See if those 9 lives are really there, huh? So, so Curiosity Val on Facebook and Instagram. I will be having YouTube soon as well. However, Curiosity is spelled incorrectly. So curious and then ITY and then just Val over there. But yeah, that is mainly it. I'm only on those for now. I don't have LinkedIn or anything just yet.
Right, I'm gonna stop. Wait there.